Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. Now, today we're going to review the two big games which took place on the weekend. Liverpool losing to Bournemouth 1-0, and Arsenal, the league leaders, running away 3-0 winners over Fulham. Now, joining me today to review these two games, we have with us Carey.
Real subscribers, good to be back. Arsenal still on top. One trick pony getting it done.
We also have returning to the platform, Leon.
Welcome, viewers and subscribers.
Yes, gents, another fascinating weekend of football action. And we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump straight into it. We're going to first start by looking at that surprise win. Some would say of Bournemouth coming away 1-0 winners over Liverpool, who in the week before battered Manchester United 7-0. Kerry, talk to us about this game. How did you see it? What are your thoughts on the result?
Well, I could say it's a bit of a surprising result for you. Didn't expect Liverpool to kind of lose, but Leon actually made a perfect description of Liverpool some weeks ago. He said Liverpool is a hot and cold team, and I guess over the weekend we saw the cold version of Liverpool. It was scorching hot the week before, and then they went ice cold over the weekend. I mean, Elliot, he really is what Liverpool is right now. Elliot seems to be a hot and cold player, Liverpool, a hot and cold team. So that's basically where Liverpool is right now. To be fair, though, to Liverpool, they did create some chances. I think they had around 17, 16 shots. So they did create chances, just that they failed to, take any of those chances. Salah got the penalty. He seemed really out of it kicking the penalty. So it's not a case where Liverpool failed to create chances. They failed to take the chances. Bournemouth got theirs, took theirs. And I think the Bournemouth keeper, he had a really, really, really good game. Neto, we have to give credit to where credit is due. He pulled off some good saves. He was quick on his feet when needed to be. But it kind of shows what Liverpool has been this season. Consistently inconsistent. So bad result for them, but we have always thought about this, especially getting down to the business end of the season. The teams that are from 15 to 20, you do not want to play them. Whether it's home or away, you do not want to play them because they are fighting for their lives now. So you're going to get almost the best out of them on this stretch of run. So Liverpool, as I said, create chances, fail to take chances. That's why it went for me.
Yes, definitely. A lot of Liverpool fans were getting carried away, with the 7-0 demolition job of Manchester United. But I, for one, approached the game, as I had mentioned in the preview, with cautious optimism. As I said then, and I will say again now, many a times we see these large wins only to be followed up with a draw or a loss to a team fighting for their life. And as you rightly say, it's really now a relegation dogfight. Interestingly enough, it seems the team which starts the week in 20th always seem to get a result somehow, whether it's a draw or a win. But the team which begins that game week in last position always seem to get some form of a result. But Leon, how did you see this one?
It was surprising, but not so surprising because, as you said, as history shows, any team that wins with such a big score gap, it always loses the following week. I remember a couple of years, Man United won 9-0 against Southampton, and we lost the next match. So it was always the case if Liverpool could have gotten themselves up for this tricky encounter because, as you can see, the relegation battle is very, very close this year. So that's more incentives for the teams down below because once they get the results, they're practically almost out, if not out of the relegation battle. So they were always going to be up for this match. It's just the case if Liverpool would respond to their big thrashing that they gave Man United last week, and as as Carey said, they created some chances, the missed penalty, but I think Bournemouth played good, and despite their result against Arsenal, I think they kind of deserve that win.
Yes, definitely from the Bournemouth team, it would have taken some mental strength to really conjure up and get this victory. I mean, losing to Arsenal on that last kick of the ball last week, only to now beat Liverpool at home 1-0 and pretty much holding on for dear life as the game got into those final moments. I must say, hats off to Bournemouth, definitely keeping their chances of avoiding relegation alive. And for Liverpool, the next four is no easy task. You're looking at Real Madrid, Man City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. That's a stretch of games that I don't see how they will navigate that one successfully. Pretty much anything can happen. You know, they could lose all four, win all four. It's gonna be an interesting next four for Liverpool in particular. But in terms of the key performers or team tactics, did you see anything different from the Liverpool team there, Kerry?
Not really, because I said they created the chances. It's not as if they lacked anything. They created the chances. The defense didn't play badly either. It's just one of those days where you don't take your chances, you get punished for it. And the key performance for me was Neto. He was my man of the match, Bournemouth keeper, my man of the match. He kept them in the game at times. His distribution was really well. Quick on his feet, quick to get closing space on Gakpo and Salah at times. That was my key performance of the match. So really hats off to him. I think he actually won Bournemouth that game. Bournemouth, they came with the same tactics as they did against Arsenal. It just worked today. And you guys looked on one end of the spectrum that Bournemouth had to conjure up some mental strength to come and try get a result from Liverpool. While we can look on the other side of the spectrum, actually, where we have it that Bournemouth could have been telling themselves that, listen, we got 2 goals against the league leaders, which are out of this world right now comparing to Liverpool. So if we can hold out the league leaders for 96 minutes or score 2 goals and have them 2-0, then we must can beat Liverpool. Maybe that was the mindset that they went into the match with. They went in with maybe that silver lining and were positive about themselves, and they went out, they looked like they were up to the task and they got the result. So maybe that is how they saw it going into this Liverpool match.
Yes, definitely a positive result for Bournemouth there. And of course, Philip Billings again, that ball seemed to pop up with the goods for Bournemouth. You know, he plays midfield, but he's always popping up with goals. And of course, his goal was the defining moment in the game. I mean, Liverpool did manage to get a penalty, and one would have anticipated that Salah, rich form currently, stepping up to the plate, would have delivered, but it was a horrendous miss. Leon, how did you see it?
I mean, I think that ball is still in orbit as we speak, but I think Liverpool went with the same tactic as against Man U, because I was interested in Gakpo, how he played against us, and it was pretty much the same. He was dropping into the midfield to cause overload, and he was seeing a lot of space, and that would attract Bournemouth's right back, I think, and Robertson would hold the width, so we would have that running behind. I think they created a chance from that, but I think the key persons in this match, I would say, was Billing, Lerma, and Solanke. I think he did a very good job of holding the ball up to relieve pressure when Liverpool was trying to get back that goal. And I think a mistake in hindsight, I think a mistake that Klopp made was starting Elliott and Bajcetic in the midfield, because I think Billing and Lerma was just too physically dominant. I think they were just bouncing Elliott and Bajcetic off the ball, and I think that's where Liverpool went wrong. I think in the second half he replaced one of them and bring on Jota to change the formation to a 4-2-3-1. and they were controlling the midfield much better because Jota was roaming while Gakpo was still in the midfield. But I think Billing played an excellent game. I think the Bournemouth wingers were switched on defensively. They followed the Liverpool wing backs to help control them, and I just think they played an awesome game. Solanke was having a very good match. Seems like they couldn't take the ball off of him at one point, and I just think their game plan was spot on this week.
Yes, indeed. The midfield seemed to be Liverpool's Achilles heel this season, it appears. Lack of consistent performance is there. And of course, that compounded with injuries to a few key players, that may have compounded the problem. Henderson is getting on in age as well. So it might be difficult at his age and the physical demands of the EPL to really play back-to-back games or that full 38 game slate. But it's back to the drawing board for Klopp. And the games are coming thick and fast, But of course, pivoting a bit, we did have the league leaders in action as well. Fulham taking on Arsenal, and Arsenal running away 3-0 winners. Carey, how did you see that game? Give us your game overview and what were your thoughts on the result?
I think it was a brilliant display. Not so much the scoreline for me as much as the mentality that was shown. Yes, it was a good scoreline. We had them 3-0 by halftime. The game was over by halftime, yes. But it was a mentality that was really impressive. Seeing that they went into this match knowing that Man City won earlier, the point gap is reduced to 2. And a lot of persons were saying, pressure, they must kind of feel the pressure now. And honestly, they played as if they were already league winners. They played with a level of ease. They were just oozing confidence out there. It was really boys amongst men out there, to be honest. We saw even at this point where it went 1-0, but then VAR stepped in and ruled it off. And then after that, Martinelli was offside at that point. And the goal was chalked off and it didn't seem to phase him. They had that mentality, like, all right, VAR took a goal from us. Although it was offside, they said, we're just going to score back in the next couple of minutes. It's just going to come that easy. And that's exactly what happened. Within 5 minutes after that, they came and they scored. And before you know it, it was 3-0 game over at halftime. And I like that match kind of showed Arteta's flexibility now with his squad. We saw Jesus finally is back. He got a little run out there. We were able to make some changes by at least 60th minute because with 3-0 up, the game's done. Players coming now for some game time and things like that. So it was really, really good to see the mentality from me. That's what was really impressive to me. The mentality that they showed, being under that pressure that City had won, close the gap. They came out, put on an excellent performance. They put the game to bed in the first half. Next match, that's the mentality. We get the 3 points by halftime next match now. And that was really impressive to see because we have known Arsenal over the past decade, we could say, which did not display that mentality. The total opposite. They would crumble by now. But these guys are resilient. They're really putting up a fight. So we're proud of them.
Yes, definitely. Arsenal again responding to the call, finding those go-ahead goals and pretty much saving off anything Fulham had to offer. I really thought though that Fulham really missed Paulinho in the middle right there. He seemed to be the linchpin of that midfield, and Harrison Reed and co could not cope with the likes of Odegaard. They were running circles. They totally dominated the midfield. And that total football, short passing, especially on that second goal, I believe. I believe every player on the Arsenal team got a touch of the ball before that shot ended in the back of the net. But Leon, how did you see the game? What are your
Um,
thoughts on the result?
as you said, it's total football, liquid champagne football Arsenal is playing right now. And I think even though Paulina is a key person for Fulham, I don't think he could have done much in that match, to be honest, because Arsenal's style is overloading the midfield. Zivchenko coming inside, and even Tossard was in there at one point. So I don't think Paulinho could stop that. I think like in my preview, I expected it to be a close match, but if Arsenal is playing like that, I don't think it could have been a close match. And it's a good thing that like last week they took it to the line. This week it was over early, as Carey said, Arsenal could rest some players, bring back Jesus in to get some minutes, to gain back some form, rest Saka, because we know he plays a lot of football for Arsenal, and Arsenal is just looking like a spear right now. Like everything, I think they got over the tough part with the injuries. Party's back, looking wonderful. Also, Jesus is coming back. Tossard, I think Arsenal probably dodged a bullet with Modric and got Tossard because Modric is really one for the future. Tossard is here and ready right now. You know, you could argue that he's stamping his presence on this squad right now, and also with Jorginho. He won a lot of stuff, so that mentality also with Jesus and Givje, I just think everything is lining up for Arsenal this season, and based on how their football is playing, even if they get a bad result, you can expect them to respond right away. So I think it was dominant stuff from Arsenal, rotating, changing positions. You know, it was just hard for Fulham to really keep up with Arsenal at that point, and you can do nothing but congratulate them and clap them. They're playing wonderful football.
Yes, indeed. Some very interesting point there you raised, Leon. As you say, champagne, fluid football. Every player seems to know their role within that Arsenal 11 currently. And it's very fascinating. I see Trossard getting a hat-trick of assists. And earlier in the season, he got a hat-trick of goals against Liverpool. It will be very interesting to look at the statistics and see if any player in EPL history have ever managed that feat in the same season. A hat-trick of goals and a hat-trick of assists. And it seems as if Trossard going into the Arsenal team, has just elevated the team to the next level. The likes of Jesus was never missed. Nketiah had stepped in at that point and filled that void. And now we're seeing that front three, the sort of rotation, the Martinelli linking up with the Trossard, Saka. It's a real synergy that seems to be taking place, at this moment. Right now, they seem unstoppable. Carey, can Arsenal be caught? Is the question.
Definitely. Definitely. It's a 5-point lead. We have seen Man City close a bigger gap within less games. There are 33 points out there to be won, 33 points out there to be lost. We have seen Man City close the gap on Liverpool leading by 8 points with way less matches. So for me, it is still 50-50 because we cannot underestimate Man City even at this point. We can't write off Man City until Arsenal goes on to win the league, if they go on to win the league. Man City have that potential, and we have to admit it. We have seen they have done it year in, year out, where they said, all right, we're going on a 10-run winning streak, and no one can seem to stop them. But it's interesting now. It's a bit, persons are now saying City not looking a bit fluid as they used in the past. But if we check the stats for the past 6 seasons, Man City has only had 2 better point allocation at this point in the season. Just for the past 2 seasons within the last 6 seasons. So this is basically what we could have called Man City's average point allocation in a regular season. So it's not that they're underperforming. It's just that Arsenal, as some of our friends would say, Arsenal is punching above the weight. So Arsenal being a better team right now. It's not Man City underperforming.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
Arsenal,
Yeah,
you know,
Arsenal really
at a different
setting the
level.
pace.
That's
It's
the
up to
whole
Man City
difference.
to keep up, it seems.
Right. So it's brilliant. We just need to take the time out and realize that this is why the EPL is the best league in the world. The relegation battle is something else. The top four battle is on. Then the fight for the title is exhilarating. It's a really, really good season. It's a really good season. We need to take the moment to realize that when it's all is said and done, regardless of if Arsenal win or they don't win, they really had a good run at it. They really had a good run at it. And we're proud regardless. Even right now, the league still a lot of games to play, in my opinion. 11 to go. But we can confidently say we are proud of what Arsenal has accomplished this season so far.
Yes, indeed. 11 games still to go. But Leon, just bringing you back to this game in particular, who were your standout performers?
I mean, we can look no further than Trossard, in my in my opinion. He had a brilliant game. He's looking ready and he's looking set for the title race. And I think he had a brilliant game. I think Martinelli played well also. I think he's gaining back some momentum because after the World Cup, I think he was off form a little. I think even Trossard took his place at one point on the left wing, but he's looking he's gaining back some form. And I think for Arsenal, it's key that they keep Thomas Partey injury free or at least have him for most of the game because even though Jorginho is a quality player, I think Arsenal looks like a different machine with Thomas Partey in it. And I just think, as Kerry said, it's Man City is always in the title race, but I think a key thing this season is really mentality. I think I was listening to something the other day, and I heard someone saying that Arsenal looks like what we expect City to look like, and I just think based on the eye test, I think Arsenal has a really good chance of getting the title this year. And it's just about keeping focus, keeping their foot on the ground, and just that's a key part that Arteta has to play in ensuring that his players take it a game by game and don't look too far ahead. So just to keep them grounded. But it should be an interesting end of the season coming.
Yes, indeed. I mean, at this stage of the season, it's really Arsenal's title to lose. 5 point gap with 11 games to go. I'm sure if you gave them this at the start of the season, they would bite your hand off. So if it really ends up that Arsenal doesn't win the league, I mean, Arsenal should look back on this season with a certain level of disappointment. It's really Arsenal league to lose, really. As you say, they're rich in farm, City not looking like City of old. You have a 5 gap cushion as well, and you still have Man City to play. So, the stars are aligning nicely. And really, for me, I can't see anyone other than Arsenal lifting the title come end of season. I mean, sometimes we make it seem as if the EPL is full of ups and downs. But when a team is flying, as Arsenal are, they will take some stopping. And with a 5 point gap, it means City pretty much has to be perfect from here on in. Because I can't really see Arsenal dropping much more points before the end of the season. And if they go into that City game, still 5 points ahead, I feel win, lose, or draw, they will lift the title at the end of the season. And I mean, we've been following Arsenal from preseason. And for me, I saw them live in person and they looked the part from preseason. And it has just been a momentum which has brought them to where they are now. And that momentum has not faltered for a minute. They continue to grow and they continue to play some quality football under the guidance of Arteta. But Kerry, any final words in terms of how you saw this weekend of action?
Yeah, man, it was really, really entertaining stuff as usual. It's a nice race up top. Liverpool kind of dropping points, Man U dropping points, Spurs getting the win, Newcastle getting the win. So the top four is just wide open again. The relegation battle, we have persons moving out, persons going in. It's interesting. This weekend, what will be interesting though, that will definitely affect for me, the title race and the mentality to the title race is Man City won't be playing this weekend, but Arsenal will. So if Arsenal goes and get the business done and lead by 8 points, it changes a lot. It changes the complexion a lot. It puts more added pressure onto Pep and his men to at least they have to win almost every game from that point on because Arsenal will be 8 points ahead with 10 match to go. So that was going to be really, really interesting to see how, if that happens, how it plays out and how it affects the rest of the season.
Yes, definitely. That's a very critical point there you raise. The mentality of the City players will definitely be tested. Oftentimes we don't hear much murmurs or rumors coming from the City camp, but with the likes of Kyle Walker getting into some trouble, players becoming disgruntled, looking to leave at the end of the season, and we hear a lot of chatter coming out of the camp. It doesn't augur well going forward. But Leon, what's your final word for us?
Yeah, I think in regards to City, I think it's probably just a transition season for them, but we know that even in a transition season, City is still pretty good. But I just think that Arsenal, Arsenal is too good at the moment right now, and I think Pep is still trying to figure out his team per se. And as you said, I think a lot of the players, like example Bernardo Silva, key figure, wanted to leave from about 2 seasons now. You have the incident with Cancelo going, and it's just seeming like a little bit too much for City at this point. And I just think Arsenal caught form and has a big momentum, and the eye test is just. I just think it's their league, and in regards to Man United, that we see Casemiro getting another red card again. Denying some, I guess, penalty shots, but that's just VAR. One week it can go with you, another week it can go against you. So it's not really a complaint. It's just, and I think Spurs won, I think. So I just think that below the top two, there's still competition for other teams to get into the top four. I think Chelsea won. They're looking like a little better. They're looking like, I think probably Potter has a set 11 or close to a set 11 right now, and the relegation battle is heating up every other week. A different team seems to get points down the bottom and jumps out of it. So it's looking like an interesting end of the season.
Yes, definitely. The season is definitely boiling down in earnest, and every point matters at this stage of the game. But there you have it, viewers and subscribers. I'd just like to thank you for staying with us throughout this podcast. I'd like to extend my thanks to Leon and Carey for again coming on and sharing their thoughts with us. I'm just gonna encourage you out there, subscribers and viewers, to continue to share, like, and of course, hit that notification bell so you get all the latest happenings. But there you have it. Another week of football is over and another week of football coming up. Until next time, this is Rafa signing off.